Idalia brings a threat of dangerous and damaging winds and gusts, along with heavy and excessive rain. We are expected to start seeing conditions worsen around 8 p.m. tomorrow. At this time, I would like to introduce our Emergency Management Director, Megan, for a situational report.
Good afternoon. The Emergency Operations Center is currently at a level 2 partial activation and will begin conducting 24-hour operations tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. Tomorrow, 2 shelter locations will be open in Lake County. That includes Lost Lake Elementary and the Villages Elementary. The 2 shelters will begin accepting residents tomorrow at 3 p.m. and will stay open until weather conditions decline. Sandbag operations will continue at all locations through 5 p.m. tomorrow or until weather conditions decline. The locations will be open until 7 p.m. tonight, and we'll have them reopened again tomorrow at 7 a.m. All updates, including shelter and sandbag locations, are available on the Lake County website at lakecountyfl.gov/storm. Additionally, the Citizens Information Line will be open for calls from residents today until 7 p.m. and all day tomorrow beginning at 7 a.m. And that phone number is 352-253-9999. Again, that phone number is 352-253-9999. As we enter our responses impact phase, residents should be finalizing their plans for the storm. The greatest areas of concern for Tropical Storm Idalia are going to be from possible tornadoes coming through squall lines that are heading through the county and tropical storm force winds. We're currently protecting against strong tropical storm force winds in our preparatory actions. So we're asking residents to review and finalize plans accordingly. And next I will introduce Superintendent Diane Carnegie.
Good afternoon. All Lake County Public Schools will be open tomorrow, Tuesday. We are canceling all after-school activities tomorrow with the exception of our Early Learning Center, which is our after-school program that will be open to those parents who take advantage of our after-school care until 6 p.m. tomorrow evening. Schools will be closed on Wednesday, and we hope to reopen and be at full speed on Thursday. Stay safe, and at this time I will turn it over to Sheriff Peyton Gridow.
Thank you, Superintendent. Good afternoon, everyone. As we always do with these storms, we prepare for the worst and hope for the best. With that said, I'd like to go over a few things. We posted the locations for sandbags on our Facebook page, Lake County Sheriff's Office, Florida. You can search that for our Facebook page. It will show you where those locations are at. Obviously, County Emergency Management is pushing that out as well. As we did today, tomorrow, we will have jail inmate work crews at the sites assisting our residents at the 4 specific locations. Those are beginning at 9 a.m. Those are the North Lake Community Park in Umatilla, Pear Park in Leesburg, the Mineola Athletic Complex, and Lake County Fire Station 112 in the Four Corners areas. We have disaster response teams that will be available for potential life safety responses during the storm, thanks to some of the heavy rescue equipment that we have. Post-storm, we will have inmate work crews equipped with cut and toss equipment that will work in conjunction with the County Public Works Department, ready and available to help open the roadways so that appropriate personnel can respond to emergency situations and help to bring back a sense of normalcy to traffic moving throughout the county. Speaking of traffic, remember, when traffic lights are inoperable, those are to be treated as a 4-way stop. That is very important. Let me say that again. Loss of power, if traffic lights go down, we treat those as a 4-way stop. We will be supporting the school district and shelter operations by providing deputies for shelter security. And our administrative offices at the Lake County Sheriff's Office will be closed on Wednesday. As we progress, we will continuously be sharing pertinent information from county's emergency management on our Facebook page. With that, public cooperation goes a long way. It takes us working together as a team so that we can get through this the best we can. Thank you and stay safe. At this time, I'll introduce David Kilbury, the Public Safety Director for the county.
Thank you, Sheriff Grinnell. This morning, Lake County Fire Rescue entered into its initial phase of its hurricane response plan. We are making plans for potential impact of the storm and consulting with our municipal fire department partners. Tomorrow's storm track will dictate whether we move into the second phase of our implementation of the plan, and that is response staffing and the posture throughout the storm's impact. In addition to that, we will start hardening the facilities for potential storm impact of those fire stations. I do want to remind the citizens out there of post-storm impacts can knock down power lines, which can cause electrocution hazards and also down limbs and hazards there. Should you have a power outage and the use of generators, be mindful now of the potential for carbon monoxide poisoning and electrocution for backfeeds on systems. They should be disconnected from your electrical system so it doesn't backfeed onto the grid for those men and women who restore power in Lake County. Debris and downed trees create heat stress as well as cardiac stress. Be mindful of your physical ability to perform in post-storm environments. Pace yourself. I would ask that you only call 911 in true emergencies because it will have a severe demand on our 911 resources throughout the storm. Lake County Fire Rescue stands ready to meet the impacts of the storm, and just ask you now to be ready for the storm's impact yourself. And with that, I'd like to introduce Whitney Bolston with Lake County Animal Services.
Hi there. We are encouraging all residents to prepare for the disaster to include their pets. This can include, if you're going to be joining us at one of our pet-friendly shelter locations, to make sure that you bring everything that your pet needs, including a crate, food, and other supplies. For everybody who's going to be weathering the storm at home, please be aware that post-storm we see a huge surge in lost and found pets. So it's really important to have your pet's microchip information up to date. There's really no replacement for a collar with an ID tag. If you don't have an ID tag for your pet, please just take one moment and write your phone number on the collar itself so that in the unfortunate event that you get separated from your pet, that you can be reunited as quickly as possible. Thank you.
Okay, and at this time we're going to go ahead and take a question and answer session. Again, all I ask is that you guys, if you guys have questions, that you raise your hand just so we can get to everybody, and you just ask for a specific person. That way they know who to come to the stand. Otherwise, we'll kind of default. You'll see me point, okay? So at that point, does anybody have any questions for us in terms of Lake County and the storm? Any questions? Yeah, go ahead.
Can you provide some more details about the shelter? Nicole Griffin, Inspector News 13. Who's welcome? What is the procedure for them showing up and checking in?
Can we come here?
Yeah, so all are welcome at the shelter. Folks just need to arrive at the shelter. There will be intake staff at the shelter entrance who will maybe ask for some registration information. Folks will get a wristband, and from there they will be shown where they will be staying for the duration of the event.
And those will open tomorrow?
Yes.
Can you repeat the locations?
Sure. The locations are going to be Lost Lake Elementary and the Villages Elementary.
Any other questions? Go ahead.
Is there a point where emergency operations can't go wind speeds of a certain amount that would prevent you guys being able to go to a location?
Yeah, I can speak to that. We have a set policy of 35-mile-an-hour sustained speeds where we will cease operations because wind gusts could be more than double of that and catch an ambulance off guard and put it on its side. But keep in mind, Lake County is a vast geographical area. We could have wind speeds in one portion of the county, let's say the Four Corners down south of Claremont, and really have no impact whatsoever in the Fruitland Park or Astor areas. So we monitor those with remote weather stations throughout Lake County to ensure that we're making the correct decision for not only our citizens that we serve, but the safety of our first responders as well.
And if I could follow up on that, one of the reasons we have the heavy rescue vehicles, as we've done in prior storms, delivered a baby, picked up a heart attack victim, our vehicles will run. The disaster response teams will run if there's a life-threatening situation out there. We have those vehicles strategically placed in the county, and I hope that we don't need them, but we're there in the event we do.
Other questions? Anybody have any additional? Yep, go
Are
ahead.
there any discussions of evacuation orders in any part of the county?
Megan?
We don't have any evacuation orders in place at this time.
assume that all the, like the courthouse and all those other offices are gonna be closed, right?
I believe the representative for the courthouse and the district court obviously isn't here, but I believe that as of my last update, they were still making the decision of when they would close the Lake County courthouse specifically. Any other questions? Go ahead.
Can you guys talk about how you're gonna monitor this into tomorrow? What are you looking for, and how would that potentially change plans?
Yeah, so we get regular updates from the National Weather Service in Melbourne, and that means that we take a look at the briefings that they provide for us, and we make additional decisions based on what they tell us. So we've been monitoring this track closely as we've been progressing throughout this storm, and we've made the decisions that make the most sense for the impacts that we're expecting to see. So if we start to see those impacts increase in terms of the forecast, if the storm starts to move closer to our area and we expect to see higher wind speeds or additional rainfall, we'll make changes to our plans as that comes.
I was going to see if Megan could talk a little bit about, I know you said you're at a level 2 right now for the Emergency Operations Center. Can you talk about what changes tomorrow when you move to that next level?
Sure. So the big thing that changes is we will be moving into what's called a level 1 activation. And with a level 1 activation, that means we're pulling in additional resources, and it also means that we're going to be running 24-hour operations. And that's the primary difference.
Just generally, I know we kind of talked about this, but message to residents about preparing, what should they be doing right now, aside from, sandbags, if someone could talk about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're asking residents to finalize their plans, and what that means is if you are living in a site-built home and you're planning on sheltering in place, make sure that you have all of the resources that you're going to need to do that. If you are planning on evacuating, make sure you know where you're going, what route you're going to be taking, and what you're bringing with you. And I also want to encourage residents that if you are evacuating or if you are sheltering in place, make sure your friends, family, and loved ones know what you're doing. That way they're not worried about you, and just maintain that communication as you can throughout the event.
Okay, do you have anything to add about safety and preparing safety-wise?
Yeah, just to have 3 days supply of medicine. If you're short on your pharmacy prescriptions, now's the time to get those. Water. Have a 3-day plan to be self-sufficient. Though this storm isn't currently forecasted for that severe of an impact, it's a good precursor for a potential storm, and it could change. So now is the time to prepare. And that's why the professionals in front of you today are advising you of just be ready for the storm, because this is Florida.
I have one quick out of the daily commercial. So are we expecting more of this as a windstorm, or is this more of a rainstorm, or which do you think this is?
So at this point, what we're really expecting is to be the strong tropical storm force winds. And we're also being told that there's potential for tornadic activity in some of the squall lines that might be heading through the county. So this is probably going to be more of a wind event for the county than it is a rainfall event, although we would expect to see some significant rainfall as well.
And if I could follow up on that, Frank, you've covered Lake County a long time. We have to look post-storm with Astor in the St. Johns River. And my staff has already put a plan in place to be back up there again, mobilized if need be.
Okay, great.
Anybody have any other questions?
Are both of the shelters pet friendly?
Yes, so both of the shelters that will be opening are pet friendly. We just are encouraging residents to bring what they need for their pets because resources will be limited.
Double check, the school closed Wednesday? The schools? Closed Wednesday?
Yes, the schools are closed on Wednesday. We do hope to reopen on Thursday.
But closed all day Wednesday?
All day Wednesday, yes, they will be closed.
And are all after-school activities canceled tomorrow, or is there aftercare like you were saying?
All activities are being suspended for tomorrow, but our Extended Learning Center after-school daycare will be open until 6 p.m.
Any other questions? Going once, going twice? Yeah, go ahead.
Are there any specific areas, I don't know who would be the best to answer this, that you're pushing resources to ahead of time, areas that you're particularly worried about, or will it just depend where the storm moves?
So we always monitor the Astor area because of the St. Johns River, and we always monitor that for flooding. We will be doing impact assessment after the storm comes through our county, and that will determine a lot of where we're going to be pushing resources to post-impact.
Okay, if nobody has any other questions, we can go ahead and end that here. I'll ask everybody to file out for me, so go ahead.
Thank you.
and leave. Do you guys have any additional questions that you need me to follow up in writing? Is everybody good? Okay, so at this time, we can go ahead and conclude the press conference. If you guys have requests for additional interviews afterwards, let me know and I can try to work it out for you, okay? Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Remember, you sent the email with the list the chapters maybe?
Yes, yes. I'm going to send out an email with like a recap and everything.
Did you send my now?
Not yet, but probably in the next 30 minutes.
I just set it up.
Yeah. Yeah, you go.
I was trying to press go.
Sorry.
Yeah, if you guys want to get feeble or anything off the emergency operations center, you can. So we'll go ahead and we'll walk you down there. I'll have somebody walk you down. Hey, James. Do you mind walking down so people can be gone? Yeah. No. Yeah, hold on. Yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't really see much. I was just like stressed out about it being the wrong.
I'm probably sure there's a couple.
Oh, I'm sure.
Sorry.
There's the person controlling my everything.
Tom, how's your audio with that puppy chew? Talk about a great shot.
It was exciting. And I've been doing it. I can get to it. He showed me like midway through. He's like,